I'll ask Karen to do the notice and summons a meeting.
Thank you, Chair. To all members, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of Environment and Regeneration Committee to be held as a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the Chamber on Wednesday the 9th of July at 4 p.m. Alderman Derek Hussey.
Aye.
Alderman Keith Kerrigan. Yep. Alderman Julie Middleton.
Here online.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Paul Boggs.
And shot.
Councillor John Boyle.
Online, Karen, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Caitlin Deaney.
Apologies.
Okay.
Councillor Deaney.
Councillor Gary Donnelly.
And shot.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Duffy. Thank you. Councillor Roy Farrell.
Here.
Thank you. Councillor Sean Fleming.
And shot.
Thank you. Councillor Emma McGinley. Councillor Pat Murphy.
And shot.
Councillor Declan Norris. And Councillor Martin Riley.
Online, Karen.
Thank you very much, Chair.
And I would like to remind everyone physically present at this meeting or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to the attendance at the meeting, you're consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers were reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council privacy notice may be found on the Council website www.terrystrabane.com. Do you want to do the declarations of members' interests, or if you want to do it as we go along? Everybody happy? I've only a couple of chairpersons' business. So first is Julie, Councillor Alderman Middleton, sorry.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. I'll just be very brief today. And I've been contacted by several residents living in new buildings just regarding the lack of floral provision in the village, particularly pertaining to the section alongside the main road. Residents of new buildings, of which there are in excess of 1,000 rate-paying properties, lie on the main thoroughfare to Londonderry and furthermore in the other direction to Strabane. I would like to ask that a report is brought back detailing which areas council have provided the floral arrangements for by way of planters, hanging baskets and other displays. I would also kindly ask that detail be provided, particularly around areas that cover the main entry routes to our city, town and wider district, as well as what is being provided in our rural villages and hinterlands. Furthermore, I would be deeply appreciative if a scoping out exercise could begin regarding floral provision for that main road portion of new buildings, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, through you, Chair, members happy to bring a further report back in relation to that. Thanks.
Thank you,
Councillor
Chair.
Boggs.
Thank you very much, Chair, and we have no issue either with the paper. In fact, we welcome it. However, as everybody in here will know, more flowers means more money, which means that people need to be prepared to support that financial ask as well. Just with your indulgence on the back of Alderman Middleton's point, I know it's something we have talked about in the Chamber before, particularly through a notice of motion last year, but I am sure other elected reps are being contacted about some of the state of our towns, villages, residential areas in relation to overgrowth and weeds and the issue that we have in terms of private land and when they're overgrown, trying to A, find a landowner, B, get them to do something about it, and if not, where does it fall to? So I would just appreciate if officers could give us any update in relation to communication they have had with the two main agencies in terms of DFIE and the Housing Executive in relation to their responsibilities across our city and district. And if that hasn't taken place, can it? And I do think, I know we usually have a DFI meeting in September, October time with the local office, but whether there could be any engagement prior to that in relation to some of our estates. It has fallen deaf ears and the issue are falling between three stools, and unfortunately this council gets the blame for not acting in relation to residential areas in particular where it may not be our responsibility. And I think for ourselves, we need to spell out clearly that it isn't our responsibility, it is the responsibility of others, but we need to play our part in holding them account to try and get them to act in a way that is suffice for the people that we represent. So if officers could take that on board, just please.
Yep, through you, Chair, members, more than happy to take that on board. We do, as officers, be in regular contact with both of those agencies and raise these issues. Obviously, members are aware that the answers we get back from time to time in terms of budgets, etc., etc. But clearly, obviously, DFI will be coming into the committee. We also can again raise it, and if members have any particular individual portions of land or whatever that they want us to raise, then we're more than happy to do that as well. Thank you.
Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair. In a similar vein to the initial contribution from Alderman Middleton, floral displays. Now, members and officers will remember that the flowers were taken away from the wishing well style signage, which was gateway to many of our communities in the former Strabane district area. They have never been replaced. And you know, Julia has referred there to gateway in to the city, etc. Well, the same applies to our small settlements throughout the council area. And it is a concern at what is seen as an imbalance between floral displays, the city, vis-a-vis the rest of the district. And similar then to Councillor Boggs, the issue of growth of floral displays which are not floral in the common sense of it, but weeds, basically in town centres, etc. Castlereagh stand clear. I know there's an issue with the start date for phase 2 of the levelling up scheme, but at the moment it's like the Wild West. All we're missing is the weeds tumbling down the street. We have a town centre which is pristine, but the surrounds are just covered with weeds, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. I would ask that something's done about it, because the phased work that will take place for the new paving around the town centre is over several months. You know, it's not something that's going to be done in a week or 2 weeks. So, I mean, is the town centre expected to remain in the state that it's in at the moment? And the final one on that would be Ardstraw, in the part of the village known as the Home, which is the Victoria Bridge side of Ardstraw Bridge. There is a small traffic island there. Now, it lies within the 30-mile-per-hour limit, but you cannot see a single sign on that small traffic island with signage right round it because of weeds. I don't know if that's DFI responsibility or if that's council responsibility, but it lies within the 30-mile-per-hour limit. So if it's not council responsibility, can council urge DFI that they would attend to that? Because there is a safety issue, because the signage just cannot be seen at that particular location. Thanks, Chair. I appreciate that.
Yeah, through you, Chair, members, happy to take on board those comments and raise that issue, particularly with DFI. It's their responsibility.
Councillor Farrell.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and on behalf of the SLP, just to voice our support for Alderman Middleton's proposal. And I would just like to reflect on the comments of Councillor Boggs. You know, it's not an issue that's, you know, it happens in Derry as well. You know, we are inundated with requests from constituents who think that council are responsible for everything. You know, so if there's weeds somewhere, that's council's fault. If there's blocked gullies, that's council's fault. I, for one, am looking forward to the engagement with DFI, if that's in September, October, because we're emailing them constantly about issues. You know, one, you know, Moss and Moss Park, of all places, weeds throughout Clonela, road markings right across the city and district. And the feedback that comes back from the department is just budgetary constraints. We can't give you a time scale. There's no time frame for this. It's so bloody frustrating. So the constituents are coming to us. They think it's council. It's not. We relay those concerns to DFI, and I don't know where these go because there's no action with them. I know there are budgetary constraints, but I don't see any progress with a lot of issues with DFI across this city and district. It's so frustrating for us as reps. It's really frustrating for constituents who are looking at this on their doorstep on a daily basis, hoping that one day they're going to go out and the stuff disappears. It doesn't. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So looking forward to that engagement.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Alderman Middleton, you want to come back in again?
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate you letting me back in. It's just a suggestion, Karen. When DFI come in, normally we all fill out the wee table for them. I'm wondering if something similar, maybe from a council perspective, can be drawn up and relayed around us all. We all seem to be having the same issues with moss, overgrown weeds, signage, and I understand budgetary constraints, but when it comes to road traffic accidents, people cannot see. For instance, down the A5, there's a right turn that's very, very concealed. The actual sign looks like a tree now. There's more moss, and I've reported that, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 times, but because it's considered to be a more rural part of the road, unfortunately it hasn't been fixed. But the fact of the matter is, rural dwellers always need to use the road more, because walking isn't always going to take you to where you need to be without going for hours or a long walk. So I think that we need to maybe collate some information, and I think what we'll find is there are common themes and common areas that need to be looked at, and maybe the department can pull together something for us all, because we've got elderly residents who are afraid to go out when it's raining because the moss is so slippy. We've got signage that can't be seen, either so dirty or overgrown, and just weeds galore. And there's a couple of agencies that we need to engage with, but as rightly pointed out by other councillors, unfortunately our constituents think it's council, and our grounds team are working above and beyond on the areas that they're responsible for. But I am of the opinion that some of these issues that we're talking about today actually do not fall, for the most part, within council remit. And whilst I'm more than happy to raise these issues, and I find that the actual workers that I be dealing with in DFI are fantastic, on up the ladder where it comes down to budget, it's a firm no, but it's across our whole district now, and areas are starting to look a wee bit shabby. So I think we really need to just collate some data. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Members, we're happy to send out a sheet to members to collate all that information and put it together and send it off to DFI ahead of their visit to the committee, which will be in the autumn. We haven't agreed the date yet, but we can go to them in advance of that and ask them for their comments and the feedback, so we can bring it back to members in September. Thank you.
Councillor Donnelly.
Oh, thanks for that, because just in the same vein, in Central Drive in Craigan, within 100 feet radius, there's at least three, what I believe health and safety risks. You have the crossing on the road where a wheelchair user had contacted me, said he nearly came out of his chair, nearly tumbled over. There's overflowing gullies in what's known as the Shaps Lane, which are emitting foul smelling liquid. And again, that's been reported several times. And at the corner of Central Drive and Fana Drive, there's a small sinkhole, which is probably 2 feet deep on tarmac adjacent to the footpath. And this is an area where hundreds of school children and people going to church. But no matter how many times you report this, it's not dealt with. And then you have constituents saying that you report that. You know, they're doubting. But I believe that in them 3 cases, and I'm sure that everybody's in the same boat, there's hundreds of health and safety issues out there. And if council can do something, they get them, they sort of fix this or speed it up, then it would be very, very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, members will raise that, absolutely.
Thank you. I've just to add to that, there are a couple areas in the Fund. I know there's a lot of villages going on for the tidy village at the minute, and there's a lot of effort going on, especially in two of the areas, Strathfoyle and Eglinton, where people have been collecting for flowers and doing a lot of effort. There's a lot of people out cleaning up and cutting areas that's not meant to be layers to cut and all, but it's the places are looking really well. So we are. So just wanted to add that. We can move on. Oh, sorry, Councillor Duffy wants to come in and chairperson's bill.
Gormayogut, Chair. So a bit of good news that all our members and officers might have been aware that there was siphons work to take place in down by Strathfoyle at the bottom of Stratton Drive. It was to coincide with the extension of the Greenway at that time, but any water pulled out due to budgetary restraints at that. But it's now been awarded to the contractor, Graham, and he is ready to go. So he wants to re-engage again with council because he had nothing but praise for council officers who he was dealing with at that time, especially Michael Savage and how helpful he was. So he's just asked that we re-engage again and we start putting things in place because there was a plan in place before, so this remains the same. It might be a bit difficult now with the Greenway being finished and stuff. So yeah, just re-engage again and get that moving. Thank you.
Members were happy to pick that up.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Councillor Duffy. The next item is matters arising from open minutes of the Environment and Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, 11th, 2025, pages 5 to 16. Everybody happy?
Chair, sorry, I wrote online there.
Oh, sorry, Alderman Middleton, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just a wee quick one, and I'm just going to come in reference ER 144/25. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there doesn't seem to be a flooding update on this agenda, and I was wondering if there's any information to share. We've previously mentioned flooding is probably one of the biggest issues that we're dealing with district-wide, so I do think it's really important that we have flooding at the forefront of these meetings and that they are included in the agenda. So I don't know if it's just been missed out, if I've missed it, or if something's wrong. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Members, just to update members that we didn't actually receive a flooding update from DERA this month. We had an out of office response when we had sent the email to them. We will re-engage with them and make sure that we have a report brought in for the next committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Alderman Middleton. The next item is.
Right, Chair. I'd put in the chat box as well there.
Sorry, Councillor Riley, I've just seen it coming on there.
Yeah, thank you. And just in the same issue that Alderman Middleton has raised about the flooding report, except this isn't the first time it's happened, and I accept Karen's answer that we have to rely on DFI sending across the correspondence. I'm wondering as well, is there any update on the notice of motion request to the Minister to come and visit the Drumahoe area and indeed any other areas across the council area that are similarly affected by flooding? I see the Minister has been in the council district on a number of occasions, both at Foyle Port, then recently this week down at a Northern Ireland Water announcement. So any update that officers can give on the Minister's plans to visit the Drumahoe and the other parts of the council area on the flooding would be appreciated. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Members, I don't have an update on that today, but we can certainly follow that up with the department. Thank you.
Everybody happy? We'll move on to open for decision number 7, street naming and property numbering request for development names. And that will be Connor taking that.
Thanks, Chair. Members, there's a small change to this report, and I ask that we defer decision on Tamnairn Drive and Airview Mews until our next meeting. The application in the pack, we received 2 applications for the same development, and we just want to clarify which name that the developer and or the housing association are wish to progress with. So the developer has suggested one name and the housing association has suggested another name. So we're asking to defer that until we get clarification on that. With regard to the remainder of the report, we have an application in for Red Cross Place, and the report sets out the rationale for the name being in keeping with the local locale. So the recommendation there from members is to approve the adoption of the name Red Cross Place for the housing development adjacent to Beechwood Park, and that we bring the other item or the other name back into September's committee once we have clarification.
Thank you, Connor. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you again, Chair, for letting me in. The Red Cross place was thanks to Aaron Cairns, local Strathhoyle man, who's also extended to the Boyle family. This site is very significant in Strathhoyle. You'll see in your packs there's a lot of history with it. And the Boyle family lived there for a long time, right until the modern day Strathhoyle was built, and then they moved into more modern housing. So this is very, very important locally, historically, and more so for the family. So it was then brought the suggestion of the name forward, and then I passed it along. So just to thank Aaron Cairns for this, for contributing to local history and going forward. Thank you. And I propose the recommendations as well, sorry.
We need a seconder.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy, and I totally agree with everything he said. I know the Boyle family very well, and I know the area, as you know, very well, so totally agree. That brings us on to number 8, open for decision, public consultation on the draft for Northern Ireland Climate Change Adaptation Programme, and that's pages 37 to 334, and Karen will take us through that.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek members' feedback and approval on our draft council response to the public consultation on the draft 3rd Northern Ireland Climate Change Adaptation Programme. You can see from your pack today that the department have led a series of single coordinated adaptation programs since the 2008 Climate Change Act came into effect, and they are seeking the views of stakeholders on the draft 3rd iteration of the programs, which has been developed with input from departments and a range of key stakeholders. The department has launched the public consultation on this programme, and it is closes on the 4th of August. So members, the details of the consultation are attached to your pack today, and council officers through our climate manager have drafted a response prepared on behalf of council. So members, we're asking today that you note the draft response, and if you're happy with it, we can approve it. If members have any further comments ahead of the full council meeting, then members were more than happy to take any comments that anybody has. And I'm happy to take any comments now. Thanks.
Alderman Hussey.
Yeah, just a brief one. What's the cutoff date for response to officers on that?
Members, if you would send them to us so we can update members at full council, then we're more than happy to collate members' comments on any potential changes ahead of full council. The closing date for the consultation is the 4th of August.
Councillor Boggs.
Just happy to propose on the basis that we can update the response before full council if needs be.
Do we second?
Happy to second.
Okay, Alderman Hussey. The next items are open for information. So I'll just go through each of them, and if anybody has anything to say, sure, we'll bring you in. Number 9 is building control applications. Number 10, proposed disabled parking bays and no waiting restrictions across the city and district. Councillor Farrell.
Just briefly in that, Chair, and obviously it's good news that there's going to be extra provision in the addresses and areas contained, but similarly to the remarks regarding DFI, there are issues right across the city and district where we have accessible parking bays that they've worn out over time. I've been contacting DFI about trying to get those relined or remarked or whatever the proper terminology for that activity is. And again, the feedback is, we're aware of your concerns. We can't give you a time frame. So frustrating, you know, because what's the point in putting these parking bays there if they don't maintain them? It's just, you know, difficult to understand that. But again, the frustration is that they can't give us any sort of time scale. If people knew that's going to be 3 months, that's going to be 4 months, but it's just open-ended at the minute, and which leads to the frustration. So again, I'm aware of the budget difficulties. I'm aware of, you know, the challenges within DFA and every single department in Stormont. But if they were to give us if they could give us realistic timescales in terms of this stuff, at least we'd have something to come back to people on. But at the minute, there's nothing. There's no indications whatsoever. So again, we're not going to fix it here today, but it needs to be an agenda point at any future engagement with the DFA.
Through you, Chair, members more than happy to raise that with the department. It is something we've raised before, and again, have been advised a similar situation that due to budget pressures, it's not something that they're prioritising at the minute, but certainly we can raise it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Councillor Burrell. Next item is my boy update. I just want to point that it's great to see now that the dates has been set out for some consultation for the public, and I think this is good to start moving on. Anybody else? Number 12 is the draft transport strategy 2035 consultation, pages 361 to 364. The next item is the Craig and Country Park Reservoir update on works. Councillor McKinley.
Mega Chair, and I just want to thank Karen and the team for this update report. I know it's been a long time coming in terms of the work that's been going on to do the works for Craig and Country Park, and seeing the work on the ground now on the middle reservoir. And I actually got a phone call this morning about the lower path, and with this report we're able to update people that work's due to happen soon as well. So I just want to thank you for the effort that's gone into it, the work that's happening, and hopefully this will allow the unlock and further development further down the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKinley. The next item is consultation on ground funding reservoir safety issues, pages 369 to 384. Next item is the public consultation on Northern Ireland's draft climate action plan 2023 to 2027, and it's pages 385 to 400. The next item is Newton Stewart Town Centre Regeneration Framework Town Centre Car Parking Capacity Study, pages 301 to 401 to 404. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report. Whilst I note that the report is referenced town centre parking in Newton Stewart, if we could just open it up again here, includes capacity to the Newton Stewart commercial town centre areas, extremely welcome. A couple of points on it. First of all, I note the councillor engagement is 1 to 2 o'clock on the Thursday. If our council meeting on the 23rd runs over, councillors may have difficulty being in Newton Stewart for that consultation, so I hope that can be kept in mind. Secondly, although this deals with parking in Newton Stewart Town Centre, single track on here. Although this deals with town centre parking in Newton Stewart, probably the largest park available in Newton Stewart is at Vaughan's Home. And some time ago, I did mention a similar issue to that has already been raised, is the issue of lining of that car park. And nothing's been done about it since. The lining is worn out in that car park. Now it lies within the responsibility of council. I don't think it's within business and culture as a public car park as such, but it's a car park at a facility in Newton Stewart. And at the time when I reported the fact that the lines are worn out in that area, I had received complaints. I said I've reported it, nothing's happened. And I'm now saying, well, obviously, it's a bit like Councillor Donnelly said earlier on. You report these things, nothing happens. Are you done nothing? And I'm sure the same might apply to other Derg elected representatives who will have been reporting the same issue. So if something can be done about the lining on that car park in Newton Stewart at Vaughan's home at the sports pitches there.
Yeah, through you, Chair, members will raise that internally with officers, and certainly in terms of the member consultation, we'll aim to do that online, but hopefully if it were a reason that it couldn't happen, we will rearrange it as well. Thank you.
That's appreciated, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Alderman Hussey. Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me in. And just again to welcome that there's this report and that there is a consultation coming up. And to be fair, I think that maybe some of the DEG members might be prefer to be Newton Stewart than I'm full council to be this one if I did run on to the second day. But we'll just leave it no more than that. No, again, content enough for that. And again, it is something that's needed. Alderman Hussey is very right in that the largest car park is down at Vaughan's home. But I mean, there today and yesterday, I've been past the car park on Town Hall Street, and it's been full to capacity and cars parked in bays that aren't bays and blocking other vehicles. So I mean, there does appear to be a need there. I mean, that's just nothing in particular out of the ordinary that would make it to be full to capacity in these last 2 days, but that's just to say my view from just having passed it at different times. So as I say, there is a need there. So again, look forward to the consultation. Thank you for proceeding with it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. The next item on the agenda is COVID Recovery Small Settlements Programme funding status update from pages 405 to 406. Everybody happy? We're moving on to confidential for decision. Sorry, I need a proposer and seconder. Thank you. Councillor McGinley, Councillor Boggs.